first goal was like to walk around the block. And then, eventually they're going on this path where 3 years later, they like look up and they're like a member of a CrossFit gym paying $250 a month. They're taking all these supplements. They're eating a keto diet. They're drinking bulletproof coffee. And like, they had no idea what like any of this was 3 years ago. And you can totally watch that over a period of time. So, I think what's always fueled me is like the creativity, the messaging, and the connection to someone to get them to go from not starting to that first step, and then watching that whole journey and being a part of the journey over time. Because I think it's where the real value is. I think on my bio, it says something about like, it's not just selling them a pill or a powder one time, but it's all the tools and all the support and all the things that you need to actually transform through the whole customer journey. And at the end of the day, there's a lot of products in there that do create transaction and do create revenue. But really, if you just think about the end goal being like, I'm going to get you from point A to point B, and I know your life's going to be better because of it. And that's going to be a good reflection on the company and the brand that helped you get there. Like, to me, that's the fun part of the intersection of marketing, branding, and fitness.
So John, you're bringing up some great themes of transformation and having more of a long-term relationship mindset and nurturing. And I love and totally in alignment with all those ideas, but I'm wondering, as a leader, how do you both keep everyone focused on the long term? And sometimes you gotta pump the brakes a little bit, or you gotta like bring everybody like kind of there is the temptation to like the immediate thing and like, can we just do this quickly and not think long term? So as a leader, how do you keep everyone kind of both patient enough and like eager enough? What's the balance that you strike there in maintaining that?
Yeah, I think as a marketing leader, you essentially have two roles. I think one role is to protect your team from being spread in a chaotic fashion. So you're going to get a lot of requests from, people above you, people that are peers to you that have new ideas. And look, I've worked for some amazing CEOs that are super ambitious. It makes them good at what they're doing. They see the opportunities, they see all the shiny objects, and some of those are really big opportunities. It's made them who they are today. So as a leader, your goal is to listen to all those ideas, think about them in a 360 manner to see if it is something that's meaty enough to change path, to make those big decisions, to adjust your team structure. And things will always pop up. There's always outliers that are things that you just have to tackle. But to become that barrier and almost that filter for the rest of their team, so the team can stay focused on the overall objective and the bigger long-term goal. And to not divert them too much, because I think that can cause, and I've seen it both ways, but definitely can cause a lot of confusion, a lack of clarity, lost hours, and I think just burnout. Overall, if you switch strategies and you switch directions and campaigns too often, notwithstanding even the fact that it can confuse your customers, and you're trying to get them to latch on to your purpose and your mission and your design and your visual, so they recognize what you're doing and can repeat it to their audience and their fans and their community as well. But just from a team perspective, like it creates a lot of stress when you constantly pivot, you constantly change, and you don't stay dedicated to kind of that long-term vision. So I think that's kind of the two roles that you play. Try to keep your team going one way, and divert the other people and help them walk through why we shouldn't change paths so often.
Yeah, that's great. So there's a term in fitness and weightlifting of going to fail. So the question here for you, John, is you don't have to share what your biggest fail is as a marketing leader. You don't have to share what it was, but we would love to hear what you learned from it. So when you've hit those fail points using the same kind of concept of fail, like that you in powerlifting in particular, what's something you learned, or what are a few things you learned from hitting some of those fail points as a brander?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question for sure. I think if I think about some of my bigger fails, I think it's not pushing enough on the importance of the brand through all aspects of really your business. So I think about, from a hiring perspective, not hiring people that really do care about your passion, your mission, and are passionate about what you're working on. I think you can quickly want to hire really quickly, especially as I've been a part of a lot of team build outs, in places like Austin, Texas, or even like in Boise, to where you kind of get a blank canvas. You have a big ask to go after, and you get to start hiring. And if you don't hire, it's all on you for that time being. So you can quickly, this is a great resume. They've done some cool things. but it's just a job to them. And I think you can sacrifice on some of those aspects in order to move quickly. So there's that balance between speed and then like your long-term kind of build up of a culture that is really going to last for a long time. So I've learned that over time, and I think that's been something that I would, I try to do differently now, and make sure that that's embraced all the way through. I think also just really fighting, for those brand experiences that I think are a deeper connection, and having the data to back it up. And so I think, in some cases I've been really successful in that way, and other times, I think I can just fall on the fact that, well, no, everyone knows that like when a brand does this cool thing, like they build more fans. But when you can't measure that and you go to compete against other marketing tactics that can be measured on like a return of ad spend or a direct ROI, and you're coming in with more fluffy kind of feel good brand stuff without the metrics dialed in. And look, some of the brand metrics that, whether it's awareness or your NPS score or consumer satisfaction, like some of that can be a little bit harder to measure in short terms, or you need to run, a big, long research project that can take 12 weeks and cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, to really have the answer that you want to provide that this is working or not working. But there's ways to get there. And I think I've probably, through my failures, have learned the importance of being able to model out that's why I talked about the LTV, the lifetime value of a customer, how much they're purchasing per year, what happens when they're engaged versus not engaged, and how does it impact the sales funnel? What's the referral percentage that you can get if they have a great experience? And then laddering up all those brand initiatives and brand marketing initiatives up to that metric to be able to show the value from a revenue perspective to the stakeholders that are also making those decisions. So I think that I don't say lack of data, but that I think I would prioritize that higher moving forward as a key lesson I've learned over time.
You were talking earlier about what gives you energy. So I want to pose the question of has there been a time where you found yourself with a lack of energy? Hard to imagine because you're such an energetic guy, but a lack of energy. And were you able to discern where the drain was? And then how did you address it? Because I think that's something a lot of chief branding officers like you, or chief marketing officers, directors of marketing, people that work in the space, they do get burnt out, as you've already mentioned. So a time where maybe that happened, and how did you detect it out?
Yeah, I think there's two things. I think one on the team side and then one on more just the project side. So like from a team perspective, I think my energy levels are definitely, and COVID's a great example of ways that we've had to be really creative and unique in thinking about how to keep that energy level. Like I feed off people's energy. Like I like to work side by side. I like to roll up my sleeves. Like I like to have that feeling of seeing someone that's a trench buddy, which is a term that I use a ton with my teams. Those people that know they're ride or die. They're going to be with you through the hard times. If you need to throw a late night, they're going to be right there cranking out, work with you over loud music. Like that energy that goes, that comes with having like a really strong team of passionate people that have each other's backs. So times where I've lacked that energy is where either I didn't have that culture established yet. So like early on in team build outs, if I made a few mishires, had some of the wrong people in the wrong seats, or didn't have enough people with the right passion for the mission that we were working on, where it just felt like that was a job to them. That's where my energy, I think, has been wavered before, where if you feel like you're the only one that cares that deeply and that passionately about what you're working on, you can start to feel, lonely in that pursuit, and that can wear on you. And then I think the other one is the project side. So when you feel like you're just doing a product for the sake of selling something, I think that can become wearing and taxing. And so constantly trying to remind myself how it fits into the bigger puzzle and remind yourself of the bigger mission that you're going after. Because you can usually find a way where even if it's transactional in some areas of the business, that you can map out how that actually impacts the customer journey that serves the bigger mission. So for me, who's a very like purpose-driven, type marketer, to constantly be able to remind yourself of like how it fits in the overall picture and not get so locked into that specific initiative or that transaction as the only thing that's important, but make sure you step away from it too to see the bigger picture. I think is something where that also helps me, keep my energy at a high level.
So it would be amiss not to tell at least one John story about, but it's about your passion. It's about your work ethic and that ride or die. And this is probably around 2005, and we were working as a team. John and I were part of an ownership team of an agency that was doing some pretty revolutionary things at the time. Anyway, we had a major client meeting, and we were part of the sharing. What we were going to share with him is the design, the logo concepts, and the look. And at the night before the meeting, it wasn't done yet. And John's like, I got it. And we're like, all right. And then we get to the office the next day, and the meeting's like at 9, and it's like 8:50, and he's not there yet. We have nothing. And all of a sudden, coming out from behind this wall is John, a little less put together visually than he usually is. And he has his stuff, and he printed them out, and he had stayed up all night and had stopped and found a spot in the corner of like this unconstructed office to sleep for like a couple hours so that he'd get it done and deliver it. And I just remember thinking, damn, there's no way I'll ever be able to, I won't do it. I would have used my creativity to come up with a good excuse why I didn't get it done. So I think that's why I love M's question there too, John, because I've seen that passion for getting the work done right. My favorite Johnism is good design is not a matter of opinion. That was another part of like knowing what you believe in and building off of your convictions.
Yes, he cites that a lot.
I do, especially to clients that have opinions about design.
It comes in handy. So thank you.
So
and that's just, I mean, that's fuel because like, look, I went to school for graphic design, and it was a path that I think, some people in probably my family and others were like, you never make money, doing graphic design. Why, you should go be an engineer, go be an architect, do something where you can actually make something of yourself. And so I think, I've always had this chip on my shoulder of proving out that even if I haven't done it before or haven't been in that situation before, like I'm willing to put the work in, and especially when I'm passionate